Hey everybody, so today we're over at this very old rice dumpling shop or eatery. In Chinese it's called Zongzi, but it's basically this thing. And this restaurant is pushing well over 100 years. It's been around since 1873, so that's pretty impressive. Today we ordered the special dumpling, which includes seafood and scallops and abalone as well. Are you ready for this action?
Yeah, this is one of my favorite place in Tainan because it's super old and their food is really good.
Yeah, it tends to have that, like, I think you guys would call it guzao way, right? But it's like kind of,
like
it's like that older
flavor.
Yeah, exactly. So this is actually my second time here, so I'm pretty excited. Alright, so we got this bad boy open. There's a lot of treasures inside here, so definitely looking forward to it. First you gotta do the hot sauce. So this thing has a ton of ingredients inside of it. I want to say it's got like salted egg yolk and chestnut and a mushroom just on this bite. And then the rest of the stuff is you have pork, some scallops, abalone. It's pretty loaded. First bite. Food like this is generally very rich, so I immediately want something sour. Is that soup? Oh, and they have it. They have black vinegar, so it's perfect. Sprinkle it on a little bit, get that acid. Oh yeah, it's so much better with that. Black vinegar makes it pretty awesome. I would say you have to have the black vinegar if you tend to like a more balanced flavor profile. And I'm always a huge fan of the salted egg yolk. That's a pretty cool, like, textured everything too, because the sticky rice itself is super solid, so the salted egg yolk will add like a sandiness to it, like dry ground peanuts, maybe something like that. But you gotta go in with the black vinegar and maybe a little hot sauce. So when these are made, they're generally made with uncooked rice, and they put the ingredients together with the rice and they wrap it in like a dried leaf, and then they steam it. Or also, you can boil it too. So there's actually a slight difference between northern Taiwan Zongzi and southern Taiwan Zongzi. There is a slight flavor difference, I can tell you that right now, and the ingredients are a little different too. For this one is really good. I mean, that deep pork fat flavor just comes right out. I mean, it's so rich. I mean, you really need the acid from the black vinegar. Yeah, but it's really delicious. There's your abalone. This is considered more of a luxury item in the East as far as food goes. Although, like, the taste, I don't find it particularly amazing or anything. It's nice and tender the way they put it together though, so it's nice, but it just kind of tastes like a scallop without a lot of flavor. It's kind of about what it tastes like. But as I was saying earlier, this eatery has been around since 1873, and you know, Tainan itself is a pretty old city in Taiwan, so you can find a lot of these super old eateries here, and they all tend to have that like flavor profile that you can't quite just put your finger on, right? I mean, it just tastes like it's made old in the right way, and they didn't really cut any corners or change anything, and that kind of flavor profile tends to come out. And close by here, there's actually like a steamed rice dumpling place, like a royuan place that's also over 100 years old. And when you eat those, it's like you're being transported back in time, because there's nothing really that has that flavor profile. I mean, it's really different than the royuan you can find around town. And unfortunately, it's closed today. That place is kind of luck-based because they only will open and serve if they're able to source the ingredients that they want at the quality level that they want. So it's like that. So we wanted to do the video today on the royuan place and the Zongzi place, but unfortunately, the royuan place is closed, so yeah. Sorry. But you're in luck because there's a 19th century garden right over here, so we're gonna crush this Zongzi and we're gonna head on over there, and we walked by it on the way and it actually looks pretty cool, so stay tuned for that. Traditionally, Zongzi are eaten, you know, by everyone during the Dragon Boat Festival, which is around mid-year, usually June-ish. But, you know, this restaurant serves it year round, so it's actually kind of cool.
Actually, in Thailand, a lot of people will have zongzi and miso soup for breakfast. Like
Really?
a lot of locals they do, but not this fancy. The normal zongzi we had every day is like pretty simple, just meat, mushrooms, eggs.
And it's
egg yolk.
pretty cheap, right? Like
Yeah.
25, 30 NT.
Yeah, but this is 150.
Yeah. So this is 5 times the cost of your average zongzi around town. It's good, right? But I don't think you would eat this every day. So here they also serve like your standard zongzi, which clocks in at about 50 NT. So even their standard one is, slightly pricier than the other joints. But I think it has a very unique flavor. So if you're in Tainan, I would definitely give this place a shot. I mean, yeah, you kind of get transported back in time with their ancient recipe from 1873.
Wow, the vinegar is so sour.
Yeah, it tastes good.
Daniel has ate all the good shit.
All that's left is pork fat.
Yeah, and rice.
That's love, baby. Love.
They're so flavorful. You can taste the seafood ingredient inside.
As good as this place is, a lot of the food in Taiwan, and particularly the south, it lacks that acid component. So generally, it's a lot like Japanese food. So you're gonna have, more of like a fat-forward kind of like deep flavor mixed with, salt. That's your predominant flavor profile in Taiwan for the most part. So I always like to add a little chili sauce, or if they have some vinegar, I'll put a little on there. And for me, that rounds it out a little better. So it just kind of depends what you like, right? But I think most foreigners, when we're used to, or most Americans, like we eat Asian food, it tends to be more round in terms of flavor, right? So like the Vietnamese food we have a lot of, or the Thai food, it has that sour, spicy, salty kind of combination, which I enjoy a lot. So I tend to add stuff, but Anita, she's not really into that, so it's always kind of funny.
For me, if you don't add the black vinegar, I think it's fine too.
You need the black. And I just got a fresh haircut. Hashtag feeling cute.
Okay.
Just kidding. It's always best to flatten these out because, this is just all rice. So it tends to have like the stuffing or the ingredients aren't always, centered around the rice. So you gotta kind of mix it up a little bit. So you smoosh it out, get a little bite of rice here, a little bite of the pork fat. It's so rich though. I mean, I'm like dying for something sour, maybe a little sweet as well. So in a way, this is a lot like Taiwanese comfort food. It kind of has that same flavor profile as lu rou fan. Yeah, that stewed braised pork over rice, kind of, the same, with a little added extra. I feel like that really needs to be served with some pickles or something in that range. That would be my only complaint, but it's really, really good.
No.
So Anita went to ask if they have any little sour vegetable dishes or anything. I mean, that for me would really put this place over the top for sure. But for now, I just got to deal with a bunch of pork fat in my mouth. Yeah. Nice post, Anita.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Anita just actually mentioned that they have like a sour drink. Yeah, so it's like a dried plum drink. So that's actually sweet and sour. So I think that would have gone perfectly with the heavy, fatty flavors of its own. It's only 20 NT, so well under $1.
We have to start.
Oh, yeah, that's sweet and sour.
I think that in Chinese, people say if you drink like plum juice, it will help you digest. So if you go to the hot pot place, they will serve like a plum drink as well.
Okay. But I mean, this is really the missing component here in China.
Oh,
Right?
it's good.
You kind of need it, I think. I still feel like it needs pickles.
This is life grown up.
Yeah, grown up. Grow up.
Grow up. There's no pickles.
Even the Luro fun now comes with pickles in a lot of places because you need that. You need the sour. I think we might have waited too long to eat it as well because the last time we were here, we ate it right away and it completely blew me away. But today I feel like it's just like, I think because we waited too long and took too much B-roll, so the flavor kind of went away. But my initial reaction when I first had this was definitely wow. So I would say if they added pickles, it would be a 10 out of 10, but maybe a 9 out of 10 without the pickles.
Okay, so I just asked, they say the zongzi in the north of Taiwan is normally just use steam, and then the south they will use like boil.
Yeah. So I think that's the major difference between north and south, right?
Yeah.
North, steamed, which is probably what you would find in most places in the world is steamed zongzi, but in the south of Taiwan they boil it, so that's very interesting. All right. Next stop. All right, now we begin the arduous journey. 300 feet this way.
We do this every day, and I'm still so amazed by you. So hold me tight through the night.
So this area of Tainan actually seems to have a lot of very old stores and such. There's a tea shop right here that's actually, one of those over 100 years places too. There you go. Your pretty classic tea shop. Yeah, so right around the corner from this place is actually the Royuan place I was talking about earlier too. So 300-year-old places within pretty short walking distance. Is kind of cool.
This is the garden that I mentioned.
Okay. Let's check it out.
This garden was originated from like a Qing dynasty, from a very rich person, and then when the Japanese come to rule Taiwan, they kind of like take away some of his land to do something else. So it becomes what it is today, like have some Japanese styled building and some are not.
So even though this building behind us looks like it's perhaps European, it's actually not. There was a period of time in history that Japanese architecture really mirrored what the Europeans were doing, and this can be found like in Tokyo Station in Tokyo as well. It looks basically like this style, so kind of interesting. Wow, what is this? This is like some super old wood building here. It's been preserved pretty well too. Oh, this is kind of cool.
This is one of the 4 main gardens in Taiwan.
I mean, it's not really a massive park by any standards, but it's pretty serene. Got water, got teenagers yelling to the left here.
Let's go have some sunlight.
Dancing up in the stars. Oh, where I'd rather be than with you. Oh, I can't believe you love me.
All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us today in our 100-year-old food challenge that we only ended up doing one place because the other place was closed. But we filled it in with centuries plus old park here, which was very interesting because it has a little Japanese architecture, a little Qing dynasty architecture, a little bit of everything in between too. So it's kind of almost like the history of Taiwan in itself. It's kind of cool. So yeah, I'm Daniel. This is Anita. We travel, we eat, we enjoy ourselves. So make sure to subscribe, and we'll keep doing what we're doing.
See you next time.
Peace.